Hey guys, this is BennMa and welcome to a new series called Narcissu, I believe. If not then, well, I can't do anything since me and you are in a different timelines, but in the future maybe I can do something else. Anyway, let's start and this is two games. The first what do you call it? Season? I don't know. Anyway, so this is the first part of the story, let's say. Let's start. Let's do it voiced. Hopefully, Japanese voice. Yes. Okay.
眩しかった日のこと、そんな冬の日のこと。確かに幼い頃から丈夫な方じゃなかった。
The music's so cool. Anyway, but even so, I went to grade school normally. During summer vacation, I played until I was tanned very dark. June. Soon after entering middle school. The day after we ordered swimsuits for the swimming class that would start next month. That time was the first time I experienced being admitted into a hospital. Just a little before the first semester midterms, a day where the rain that started to fall felt awfully cold. In the pure white sky of the rainy season, in the beginning, everyone in the class came to visit me each day. And when I was discharged from the hospital during the weekends, they would come to my house to play. Oh, that's nice. But that was just the beginning. Fall came, winter left, hospitalized, discharged, outpatient care. I cannot read. And this game uses a bit of big words, and I'm not a big boy. Anyway, and then starting again with hospitalization. Classmates who once were called friends at some points became. See, that's what I meant with saying big words. Acquaintances? Acquaintances? I don't know, but I'm assuming that it's less than friends, like you just walk past them. Like classmates. Like only classmates and not friends. So why didn't they use the word classmate? It's much easier to read. Okay. I'm trying to keep it like serious, but I kinda can't because I'm so immature. So anyway, let's just keep it serious because the story sounds super serious. And then turned into strangers. Yeah, pretty much what I said was correct. With each turning of the seasons, it seemed that I was disappearing from their memories.
どうやらいい気がしないらしい。普通に生きている人にとって私の存在ってのは、だから消されたようだった。いくつもの季節、白い梅雨空を誰とも言葉を交わす必要もなく過ごした。私の英語の教科書は1年生の中間テスト以降まっさらな状態だった。そこで私の時間も止まったらしい。
8 years later, 2004, early summer, protagonist. Yeah, this sounds the most realistic word. Summer, flowing sweat. In the driver's license examination area, a large electronic bulletin board was installed. All at once, the lights came on, and like everyone else there, I searched for my own number. 237. 237. Scanning among the mostly lit white panel, I found my own examination number. Because it was just past midday, the train car was quite empty. And in that empty car, I was on the way home from the examination center. In my left hand was the traffic regulation manual I had just received. In my shirt pocket was the brand new license. With this, I'm also normally licensed, huh? I do not realize, but I know what it means, so shut up. Somewhat seriously, but didn't feel any particular strong emotion. It's not like I wanted to drive cars, nor did I really have another purpose in mind. It was just people around me were going to training center and had recommended that I at least get a driver's license. That night, when I reported to my parents that I had gotten my license, "Is that so?" was the short reply. As an experiment, I tried saying that I wanted to borrow the car, and just as shortly, came a, "You can't." It wasn't like I had wanted to drive the car, but the responses were exactly as I had imagined. They were those sorts of parents. The next day, upon waking up, my chest hurt, and so I was taken to the hospital. Normally, I had little to do with things involved with sickness. That was why waiting in the initial waiting room felt extremely boring. Finally, just when I thought the examination was over, this time I went to take the x-rays and blood tests was made to go. On top of that, for a long time, I was made to wait in boredom. Without noticing, I had finished reading 3 books of jump manga that was in the waiting room and was reaching for the 4th. And just like that, I was made to do paperwork for being admitted into the hospital. The brand new driver's license that still lay in my shirt pocket. It looked like the time for its debut was a ways off. Protagonist, 2004 autumn. Around when those very noisy cicadas had stopped crying. As usual, I was in the hospital. Of course, it wasn't like I was always admitted into the hospital. I would be in and out. Last month, I had my first experience with surgery. After being discharged, I commuted 5 minutes for outpatient care by scooter, and even from then on, admitted, discharged, outpatient care, gradually moving into admitted again. I didn't know anything about PET or IRESSA, but I noticed through the coming and goings. That a number of months have passed. In exchange with my decrease in appetite, the types and amounts of drugs increased. Even Even I could see with my own eyes that my strength was declining. My legs felt a bit thin, but that's not your imagination. The needle on the scale would tell me. Not yet. I was looking at myself somehow objectively, as if watching a stranger, like looking at a single scene on television. The sudden things that happened to my body, my head couldn't keep up with them. The feeling that it was happening was real, didn't arise. And so, even though it was supposed to be my own body, I could only watch myself from afar with cold eyes. Winter, around when Christmas trees were disappearing from the streets. Perhaps it was due to it being in the end of the year that I was allowed to return home. In the end, it seemed to be only temporary. But even then, I was a bit happy. In a mix of rain and sleet, I returned home for the first time in a while. For some reason, everyone in the family was gathered. Even though my parents normally didn't speak much, while being a bit stiff, they smiled at me. The little sister who I always argued with made my favorite cream stew and fried shrimp. We sat next to each other in the kotatsu. They peeled mandarins for me. They were excessively kind. That was the impression it left. During this time, I had just a bit of a realization. Still left in the pocket, the brand new license. That license, without giving rise to my particular value, might expire. While having stiff, unnatural smiles directed at me. Calmly, vaguely, rather simply, I thought of that as if thinking of someone else. January 2005. The new year came and I returned again to the hospital. For some reason on that day, I didn't go to the 4th floor, but instead the conference room was made to go. There was my father and the doctor. I heard many things. Was made to listen. It was that thing called notification, probably. Then they had an extremely indirect way of speaking, but in the end, it seemed like I was going to die. Whoa, God. This is going to be heavy, isn't it? Shit. Okay, let's go. I see. That was why I was only able to reply with that. I couldn't find other words from when I entered until I left the room. That was all that I said. Accepting my answers, the doctor moved the ballpoint pen in his hand. Most likely, it was the paperwork for the hospital. To the very end, he was very businesslike. My father was very much the same. It was such a simple thing. That was my honest impression. And then, between that day and the next, I changed from the 4th floor to the 7th, from a 6-patient room to a single. And also, this 7th floor itself was a bit different. From other floors. For one thing, the floors were sparkling, the ceilings were much higher, much broader. Inside the rooms, it was extremely clean. The large windows seemed designed to let in lots of sunlight. I cannot read this. However, the windows only opened a tiny bit. When I tried measuring it, I don't know why, but I feel like I sound weird while saying this word. Anyway, when I tried measuring, it was just slightly smaller than allowing your head pass through. So it was made to prevent committing suicide. So this is how desperate 7th floor residents are. Shit, man, this is going to be depressing. The other things was the color of the ID bracelet changed since the day I was admitted. A vinyl bracelet was always wrapped around my wrist. Upon it was my name and blood type. That color had changed from blue to white. High ceilings, white vinyl bracelets, windows that could only open 15 centimeters. The day I was transferred to the 7th floor, it was when the boring New Year programs were still being broadcast. The time I met her for the first time was also at the very beginning of the year.
Narcissu. 冬7回
Narcissu, so this is how it's pronounced? Okay. Across the hall, wait. I think this is good enough for the first episode. So yeah. Thank you guys for watching. And see you in the next one. Bye.